Hello, absolutely horrible people. Welcome to, I don't know why I said it. Welcome to the Ultimate Horror Movie Podcast, Death by Podcast. I'm your host, Adam. That's your other host,
Kevin.
And today is episode 51. If you guys tuned into episode 50 last week, you'll know that we did a Star Trek Next Gen. We spun the wheel, Kevin's wheel of options, and it landed on Star Trek. We did the Nth Degree from Next Generation. And we also did, we split our time on that and the Batman. I have a little follow-up to the Batman I wanted to talk about. But before we get to that, and the main show today, which is Kevin had the letter R and chose 1990 Repossessed, the Leslie Neilsen vehicle, which was...
We'll get to it.
It was something.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, Kevin, you got any news for me? What's going on? What's Rob Zombie doing?
Well, we got Rob Zombie news. We got regular news. Rob Zombie posted a old picture of him and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Like the guy from the Expendables? Or wait, what's he in?
Is he in the Expendables? He's a professional wrestler.
Okay. Is he the dude that does the X's on his wiener? No,
that's DX. That's more of a that's a group of guys that does that. No, Stone Cold he's awesome. He drinks beer and yells at people and
sweet.
Yeah.
As does Jesse the Body Ventura in this movie that we're going to talk about.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll get to Jesse the Body. So, casting news. They have cast Lily's brother, Lester Munster. Well, he wouldn't be a monster.
That's right. Okay.
But he's a werewolf, and they put up a photo of him. And he actually looks pretty cool. Still no Eddie.
That's weird, right?
I don't know. They must be keeping it a secret. Maybe that's the end of this movie.
Do you think they're planning like a trilogy and like she'll be pregnant at the end?
Maybe.
Or she'll I don't know, hatch an egg or some weird shit like that.
I have no idea.
God damn it.
But it's played by Thomas Boykin, spelled Tomas, but he's in Three from Hell.
Okay. He's
a Rob Zombie guy.
I know I ask you this every time. Should I watch that Three from Hell?
It's okay. It's one of those ones where it's like go in knowing that like if you go in knowing that like Sid Haig was basically on his deathbed when they made it.
Okay.
It's probably the best that it could have been, but it's totally unnecessary. You know, like and you don't really like Devil's Rejects, right?
I might not have seen that either.
So there's House of Thousand Corpses.
Seen that.
Okay. Then the sequel to that is Devil's Rejects, which is really, really awesome.
Really?
Yeah, and not even just like for Rob Zombie. Like that one's awesome, man.
What's the story on that one?
The story on that is the family from House of a Thousand Corpses gets like the police basically raid their house. 3 of them. Sherry Moon Zombie plays Baby. Sid Haig. Well, Sid Haig. It turns out he's like at the end of the House of a Thousand Corpses. He's working with them.
Okay.
So it's him and
it's the dude. I know who you're talking about. Who you're trying to get to? It's the guy.
I can't believe I forgot his fucking name.
He kind of looks like a regular guy, but he's in the movies. Doesn't he have like long white hair?
Yeah, he's got like long hair. He's another regular. He's awesome.
In real life, he looks like a regular person. Yeah,
kind of. I don't know. I wouldn't go that
really
far.
like Sid Haig has always looked weird to me. I don't know why, but even back in like Buck Rogers days, like, and Sherry Moon is just a mess.
But Devil's Rejects is.
I might check it out.
I think it's by far the best thing he's ever done.
Really? Okay.
Oh, without a doubt. It's actually a lot like it's not like Evil Dead where it's basically the same movie but like better.
Yeah.
You know, but it kind of is like you can watch it standalone. You don't need House of a Thousand Corpses. In fact, you know,
I really don't like House of a Thousand Corpses. It's terrible. It's like it just puts things in my head. I'm like, ugh, it's dirty.
But yeah, this one is it's basic. Bill Moseley, Jesus,
Bill Moseley.
Yeah, Three from Hell is kind of like a watered down, not even watered down. It's just I don't know. There's something about Devil's Rejects that Three from Hell just doesn't have.
Okay,
you know, but it's not bad. It's fine.
And then what's the one that I always talk about with the witches and
Lords of Salem?
God, what a weird like weird. It's just weird. I don't know.
You should check out his cartoon, man. El Super Beasto. I was pleasantly surprised.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like
Is it for kids?
No, not at all. He did it with I think John Kay, or it might have been, I don't know if John Cow involved John Kay. That's the guy that created Ren and Stimpy.
Okay.
But it might just be Bob Camp, who's one of the head like character designers. I don't know, one of the head guys at Ren and Stimpy.
Okay.
Because it looks like Ren and Stimpy, but I was surprised how good it was. I thought I was gonna get edgelord bullshit, but it's pretty good.
Okay.
So Sony, well, what's it called? CinemaCon. The big movie convention.
Yeah, I think so.
Thing happened this week, and Sony had their panel on they announced they just announced they're doing another Ghostbusters movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they didn't say any details. Like they didn't say director, they didn't say the actors, nothing about just literally we're doing another Ghostbusters movie.
We knew that was coming.
Yeah, and they said we're doing Venom 3. But I read this quote from Jason Reitman in the article that was just like, so it was the nicest way the way he put it was, we really wanted to end this movie with an opportunity. Like we wanted to leave the universe in a place where people could, other directors and other, we could expand the universe. Like how, I forget how he put it, but it was a really nice way of saying, we want to just exploit and milk this franchise and get as much money as we possibly can out of it.
So do you think he'll be doing this new movie?
I don't think so at all.
Really?
Yeah. I think that was
if he was going to do it, I'd say, all right, it's in good hands, but who
knows?
I'd
be pumped because seemingly it's going to be like, they'll be in New York. They'll be in the firehouse.
Yeah.
It'll be a new team. It'll be what we thought this one was kind of going to be when they announced it. But
interesting. I'm very interested to see where they go.
Yeah.
If they're smart, like we predicted, they'll have Ernie Hudson as Nick Fury and just sort of a new team centered probably around the girl.
I'm curious if they go with like where they go director route. Do they go with a director they can kind of push around and be like, no, hey, we're here to sell toys, fucking make this movie? Or do they go with, do they go ambitious and
yeah, but like every Marvel movie, every Batman movie, it's all to sell toys. But
sure, but that's the thing. Like the Marvel movies, some of those are just like, we need a fill-in director. There's fill-in directors, and then like the new one, they got Sam Raimi. Sometimes, but they never in the past. Whenever they kind of did that, it didn't work out. Like when they got Edgar Wright and they had to fire him halfway through.
Sure,
I
feel like for the Ghostbusters franchise, it's not. You can get a director in there and let him. I don't know, because they don't really have a. Like every Marvel movie looks the same.
Sure.
Yeah, there's good, cool characters and performances sometimes, and they're usually solid. But they all look the same. They're all pretty formulaic. I'm sure Sam Raimi his style will come through. I'm sure, but with the Ghostbusters, they don't really have like an aesthetic or like a brand yet, which I think they're going for. But who knows if they'll ever really get to that point? As long as it's got the heart that the last one had, I think it'll be all right.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm glad they're doing it. Venom though can go screw. I still haven't seen any of those movies. I will not.
I saw the first one. I didn't see the second one.
It's your favorite movie?
No, it was terrible. It was it was something else. It's hilarious to me how they're just clearly trying to trick people like into seeing, like thinking
that it's the Spider-Man universe.
Yeah, they're essentially doing like the companies that would do blockbuster movies, but they have transmorphers instead of transformers, and so that they're next to each other, and somebody's dad just gets the wrong box.
Those transmorphers were badass though. I had those as a kid, man.
Was that ones. Real? That wasn't.
They had some serious generic. There were so many knockoffs of transforming robots.
That's what I feel like these Sony movies are. They're just like, the tagline for Morpheus was that a new Marvel legend has arrived.
Yeah.
They're throwing Marvel all over the posters.
Did you hear what they just announced yesterday? I think.
No.
So the next, they just did Morbius. They're doing Kraven, and the next Spider-Man spin-off solo movie is, what's his name? It's a luchador. Am I saying that right? Like a wrestler?
Oh, yeah.
There's a the most obscure villain in the Spider-Man comic book universe. He's a luchador wrestler guy, and his name is something Muerto. I don't know what. And they cast the singer. His name's Bunny something, Bunny Mask or Bunny.
I don't know.
Some Hispanic dude.
New music.
So they cast him as this dude in his own movie, and it's like I saw some comments on like a comic book site. People are just like, what is happening right now? What is Sony doing? Like they're just grasping at straws right now.
Oh yeah,
for anything.
It's like DC over like they like lean into Kite Man because it's like like, and they know the deal. Like he's lame and whatever, but let's make something cool. But like Sony's not in on the joke. You know what I mean? Sony's like, who do we got?
Yeah, exactly.
Give him a movie. I don't care.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous what they're doing over there. I promise you, within the next 10 years, Disney will own that stuff again.
I don't know, man.
They will. Absolutely.
We'll see.
Because they can't keep going with this like slap to the face that Sony's giving them. And
I mean,
they're going to need these Spider-Man characters like untouched, unsoiled.
I don't know. We'll see.
And at the same time, Venom is already fucked. So who knows? I don't know.
I mean, maybe they're just, maybe that's why they're laying all the groundwork for this multiverse, so they can just say like, "Oh, hey, it's Craven," but it's not that Craven, like.
Oh, totally, absolutely, they are. What else you got? Any other news?
That's it on news.
I'm surprised Sony doesn't own more horror stuff. You don't see a lot of horror.
Don't they do the Conjuring movies like that whole universe?
Right.
I don't know who that is.
Well,
is that
no? Because those are James Wan, and I know I watched that new one that I really liked. That was on HBO, which is whoever Warner owns that.
Oh, Malignant.
Did you ever watch that?
You're right. That is Warner Brothers. You're right. I did not watch Malignant.
Man, you gotta watch it. I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
All right. So that's news. Did you watch anything this week? Anything else?
I did, but it's gonna have to do with our bigger discussion. So
okay. I wanted to revisit, if you don't mind, Batman just real quick from our talk last week, which I haven't rewatched it, but I've sat with it in my head a lot since, excuse me, I'm still dealing with this COVID thing, folks. Sorry about that. But it was very much like at least a thriller, if not a horror movie, because there's like, what's his face is a serial killer.
Sure.
Riddler. But anyway, we talked briefly about the Joker scene at the end. I had not seen the deleted scene that you mentioned that Matt Reeves released of the Joker, and you didn't like it, and I didn't like the Joker scene that was in the movie. Mm-hmm. And I figured that, I think I said last week, I figured that Matt Reeves was going to do that because he's not going to do a Joker movie, I'm hoping. And that, he was just saying Joker exists in this universe here for everybody who needs to see the Joker. Let's move on. I was hoping that's what it was. Then I watched that deleted scene that you sent me, and I actually really liked it. And
that's surprising.
I know. And it made me realize, I think what he's doing is, because he released that scene intentionally, and I think what he's doing is he's going to use Joker, if he's smart, as sort of a Hannibal Lecter in the universe that Batman keeps coming to, but he's not going to be a central villain. He's not going to be, a whole movie dedicated to him, because we've already done Joker to death. So I'm really hoping that that's the route he goes in. And that's why I'm sure he had to cut that scene for who knows, whatever reasons. It couldn't have been timed because the movie was already 3 hours, and what's another 5 minutes. So I liked the scene because it gave me more of that actor than the silly, what they put in the movie should have been cut. They should have left this in the movie, I feel like. And it would have added to the universe that this new Batman is in, where he's already dealt with the Joker. Joker's done. He's dealt with, he's captured, he's in Arkham or wherever. But he's going to him because in the deleted scene, he's got, this file of stuff that he can't figure out, and he gives it to the Joker and wants his opinion on it. And the Joker's fucking with him, as Joker does. And I don't like the actor, but I didn't mind him in this. And I thought, he doesn't look like the Joker I would want. But neither did Heath Ledger at first. Yeah. And if they do it the way that I was saying, like I hope they do, use him as a Hannibal Lecter character, I think that would be smart. And I think that the universe that Matt Reeves is building would benefit from that. And it would be something that nobody's ever done,
I wouldn't be surprised if the next movie I'm gonna make a couple predictions because they announced that they're doing the Batman 2 with Pattinson. I'm gonna make a couple predictions, but this next one, I think you're probably right that if the Joker's in it, it's gonna be one of those deals. I'll bet it ends just like Silence of the Lambs.
I don't remember what was it. Yeah,
like he goes and he asks questions and shit, but then at the end
he escapes.
He's out. That's the end of the movie. I'm gonna you know who I think is gonna be in the next one, but not besides Robin. I think they're definitely gonna do Robin.
Okay,
maybe, but it's real. I don't know if they don't do. I think they're probably gonna have Mr. Zsasz, probably not as the main villain, but I think he'll be like one of those deals where when the movie starts, you know what I mean. He's been working on that or whatever, you know. Yeah, because Mr. Zsasz, he fits right in this universe.
He does. They've done him a couple times though,
and he's always movies.
He was in Nolan's trilogy, and
really?
he was in Arkham. He didn't have a role.
He was like a background guy.
Yeah, right? And he was there. And then he also they brought him back at some point, I think in the third movie. And then he was in the the Suicide Squad, the newest one. He was like He was a main.
Wait, was he really?
Yeah, he was Obi-Wan Kenobi's henchman guy. Or no, what is that? Birds of Prey. Sorry, Birds of Prey.
Oh, I didn't see Birds of Prey.
Garbage. You don't need to watch it. It's garbage.
Yeah, I assumed it's
super. It's super garbage. Like it doesn't even make my list of worst movies because it's just worthless movie. He was in that, played by you'd recognize the actor, but he would be cool to, like you said, give him a more prominent role, but not the main bad guy.
Yeah, I think the main bad guy is probably going to be one of the, but who do you do? If you do the Riddler, you got Penguin, like you can't really do Mr. Freeze or anything. You can't go. I feel like this, but then again, I said the same thing about like Iron Man. Like when they announced like Cap and Thor, I'm like, how you can't bring Thor into this, and that worked. But
that worked. There's way you can make anything work. Anytime I hear like, when Watchmen was going to be made into a movie and they're like, you can't make Watchmen into a movie. Yes, you can. You can make anything into a movie. It may not be good, or it may, I really love Watchmen, but
Watchmen was better than I expected it to be.
Especially the director's cut is phenomenal. But you can make anything into a movie. It's not, there's no untouchable thing that's too good or won't translate well. It just depends on how you do it.
What we're talking about this week, that's a great.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
You can do it.
Should you do it? I don't know. Like,
I don't know.
Maybe not.
We'll see.
But anyway, I just wanted to retouch on that since I had watched that deleted scene. And I think a lot of people like I didn't like when I initially saw that actor and I was like, oh, I hate that actor. The scene feels shoehorned. We don't need it.
I know that I'm in the minority of like when that got posted, I noticed people loved it.
Oh, really?
Okay. I didn't see a lot of people hating on it. And I was like, am I taking crazy pills? Like, what's going on? Like,
I thought it added like a really cool dimension to Batman that we see in the comics a lot, where he does exactly that. He goes to one of the criminals and says, look, shut the fuck up, but answer my questions. Because
I just hated the performance. I completely hated the performance, but that's me. It's subjective,
Of the Joker, not Batman in that scene, right? Or what?
No, yeah, of the Joker.
Yeah, it's weird. I didn't mind it. It was very like Seven, which the whole movie was kind of had a Seven vibe.
I don't understand this, and I get doing it a couple times, but like, I don't get the choice to make Joker like gritty and all scarred up and like gross.
Grizzled.
Yeah, like that's what's cool about it is he wears nice suits and he's clean and he's like, like he's a exact opposite of Batman. So Batman's supposed to be in the shadows, like fucking like grumpy and shitty, and he's bright and colorful and happy. Like it's not that he's like crazy and evil and just laughs. Like he's,
Nicholson was, I think, approaching that.
Yeah, I think he's the closest.
The aristocratic, not aristocratic, but like the clean version of Joker that you're.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody says Mark Hamill's is the best. I would love to see a live action version of like that. Like I think that's the best balanced. Yeah. Where he's like murdering people and everything, but he also like wears a hand buzzer and stuff, and
I think that I would love to see that, and I really thought that was the direction that Nolan would have taken. Heath Ledger's Joker is my favorite performance ever, but by an actor. To see like a tuxedo wearing, he's still a gross murderer, but he's slick.
The Cesar Romero.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why they don't do that. Or mix Cesar Romero with Jack Nicholson, make him just a little less goofy. And I think you've got a brand new, fresh Joker that nobody's ever seen, but everybody knows,
and they just keep going to this like the more grizzled, the last. I mean, I hated Jared Leto's, even in Snyderverse. Like, hey, let's give him like long. That's the other thing they do with like it annoys me about Batman, but especially annoys me the Joker is everybody wants to do their take on Joker, but there's no base. Like they've never done the Joker.
Yeah,
it's like we've got all these like variations, and we don't have the real one.
Right.
Can
you imagine, dude? Like Batman. Like imagine like a dinner party in the Nolan one where he introduces himself to the dinner crowd. That scene. Imagine like a dinner party like that going on with all the socialites and aristocrats and whatever. Harvey Dent as DA is there, and he walks over to a guy who has his back to him, but he's wearing like a dark purple tuxedo.
Yeah, like
and even maybe a top hat, and he like taps him on the back, on the shoulder, whatever. And he turns really slowly, and it's just like this dude with white skin, sharp pointy nose, giant grin on his face, but nothing, almost more like a Willem Dafoe. No prosthetic. Just find somebody with like that Willem Dafoe look, or even get Willem Dafoe. And like
I said that years ago, but I think he's too old now.
And he like turns, he turns slowly, and it's dark, and he's just not boisterous. He's not overbearing. He's very subtle. He knows what he's doing. He's got his plan. He's meticulous, but he has that slight unhingedness where his laugh he gets carried away with his laugh every once in a while. Like, let's just do something like that. It's a familiar looking Joker, but it's a personality that we've never seen for him. I would love to see that. And I think you could do Willem Dafoe in something like that.
Yeah. The way he plays Goblin is pretty close to how he would do it. I think he could definitely do it.
Totally.
It's just that he's, who knows, but I saw
some fan art of Dafoe as Joker. And it was like phenomenal.
I mean, it's just, I don't see them doing that version of Joe. I don't see them doing that version of any of the characters. I mean, look what they did with Riddler. Like Riddler is traditionally like the same thing, like a bright colored, like, hey, I wears is very not flamboyant, but like has, a suit with a million question marks on it, a giant question mark cane. He's very, I forget the word, and they made him like a sex pervert serial killer, which is fine. I mean, it worked. It definitely I dug it once it was, but
I don't mind them changing it up, but change it up. And
I don't either, but Jesus Christ, by the time my kids are old enough, Batman's going to be like, to watch these movies, like Batman's going to be like snuff porn. Like it keeps getting like edgier and grittier and like gross, and it's just like, man, come on,
I think this trilogy or this era of Batman that we're in, I really hope that they do take it far, take it at least a trilogy. I don't need to see it in like a expanded universe or anything like that. I don't want to do it like Nolan, keep it contained, do 3 movies, 4 movies, whatever you want to do. But then when that's done, and do this serial killing grizzled grossness world, do it. But then when it's done, somebody needs to really hit on like the Jim Lee era of that aesthetic, or even Grant Morrison, do
the blue and gray.
Yeah.
Like just have him wear a blue suit for once.
Yeah. I think that would be great.
That's I like the blue. That's my personal favorite Batman costume is the blue and the gray uniform and the yellow bat.
Yeah. Hush. I mean, Hush is my favorite Batman universe, and the character of Hush aside, but that sort of Batman, the blue, gray, the yellow,
and you can do it. Make it doesn't be like gritty, like, but you can do like Halloween is the perfect mix of like, it's silly, but it's also like serious. Like it's guys run, like the Mad Hatter is in that, what I mean? Like, you'd have to have Calendar Man and shit like that, but just embrace it's a little silly.
It'll change. Every era changes. I mean, look at if Ben Affleck had gotten his own movie, that would have been the closest to
Yeah,
a
I
comic
agree.
book, that we'd get, I think.
That's another one where they want to, instead of being like, hey, let's kill Robin, just to make him, like, for no reason, like, just so that we can have one shot of him being like, one shot of the Robin costume all spray painted up that says ha 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 on it, like,
Yeah.
for
Well,
what?
that was an older
For
that was an older Batman who had failed,
I know, but then you've just wasted Robin.
Yeah. I think that Robin would have absolutely fit in that universe had they done him, but we'll get Robin. I don't know if Robin fits with Pattinson. Pattinson's not old enough.
I don't think so either. You know what? I think, let's say he's like 25 or whatever. I think that's the perfect time to bring in Robin, when he's like 20, when he's been doing it for like 5 years. So he's not like, because the thing is, like, it gives him something to, it's a criminal. They haven't done it.
Yeah.
It brings in so much. It gives him something to like lose.
Yeah.
It gives him this like ultimate, okay, well, I like, it gives him responsibility. Like right now he's not, he has no reason to not go out there.
Yeah, we'll get it someday. The only way it works with Pattinson is if you can introduce a very young Dick Grayson in the next movie, but he doesn't like take him in until the end of the third movie, because by then maybe Pattinson will be old enough and his character can develop. But right now he's only been doing this 2 years and he's too young.
But that's what I mean. It's like he needs to be in a spot where, like, like, to have him be like, he's been doing it a long time and he's good at being Batman, and then he gets some, I think it's more boring than, he's not necessarily ready to take on a ward, but like, he doesn't have a choice. It's that, or this kid is gonna go be a bit vigilante on his own.
Yeah,
I think you could do it. You have to lighten it up a bit.
I think you have to change the whole character of Bruce Wayne that we were introduced to, which was a Bruce Wayne that didn't care about Bruce Wayne. And
right.
Or a Batman that didn't care about Bruce Wayne. And I think that would change that whole character, because I liked that the focus was on Batman. I like that.
I think, like, and there's a lot about that movie where I was like, I'm okay with this because it's year 2 Batman.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like I wouldn't, if he killed people. Well, I don't want him killing people, but he's got lessons to learn. He's not done, So I'm okay with all this shit. Like, there's a lot that I let it off the hook for that would annoy me in a different movie.
I'm glad it's there. I can't wait to rewatch it. I've been dying to since we did watch it, but I haven't had time.
I wonder what they're gonna do with that Penguin TV show. Like, are they gonna bring in other villains and stuff? Or
I think that's a bad move, but that's the thing now, is to give the villain their own vehicle, their own picture, whatever. So who knows? Because then when the next movie rolls around, how does Penguin fit in? I don't know.
Well, I don't think Penguin is gonna ever, especially in this universe, he's never gonna be the main villain. Like, I think he'll be, like you said with Joker,
I think you're right.
He's gonna be a guy that runs an establishment that criminals hang out at, and he's gonna probably have a part in the movie. But
also, how do you do a Penguin show without bringing Batman in every once in a while?
I mean, they did a shitload of movies like that already. Like, they did Suicide Squad, and they did Birds of Prey, where everybody's just like, oh, you just missed Batman. Like, it reminded me of 300. Do you see the 300 sequel?
Yeah.
It's not bad, and the 3D was pretty good.
No, it's not at all. Yeah.
But every scene is like, oh, you just missed Leonidas. He was just here 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Or like scenes like from the first movie happen, and then like once Leonidas leads, that it was just so.
Because wasn't the sequel taking place simultaneously to the first? They were just a different legion or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I forget exactly, but yeah, kind of.
All right, man. Thanks for indulging me. I just wanted to touch on that. Should we get to this opus?
Let's do it.
So for the letter R, Kevin had he picked Repossessed from 1990, Leslie Nielsen. So if you're listening to this, and you don't know who Leslie Nielsen is, go Google that guy and just pick a movie. He doesn't get it. I mean, he passed like,
God, you got to be at least 10 years ago.
10 years ago. But he doesn't get enough credit as being as comically intuitive as he was at the age that he was, and not being like a writer or director like Mel Brooks. he was the actor. So he was the guy who was responsible for, relaying portraying these characters almost his whole career. I can't remember.
Well, he was a serious actor.
He was at the beginning.
Yeah, I guess.
But in his older age, like at the time he was making these movies, this type of comedy was like everybody loved this type of comedy. And he did it so well. Naked Gun,
Naked Gun, Airplane. I mean, yeah,
which
slapstick spoofy movies.
Airplane to Naked Gun, there's 15-20 years difference in there. So he was doing this for a while. Airplane was like in the early 80s, right?
I think so.
Naked Gun was in the early 90s, maybe. So 10 years in there.
No, Naked Gun, the first Naked Gun was I think in mid 80s.
Was it?
I want to say. Yeah. Okay. The first Naked Gun was because it was a TV show first.
Was it? Naked Gun was?
Yeah, it was called Police Squad.
Oh, okay.
That's why the first movie was called Naked Gun, from the files of Police Squad.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I knew he did Police Squad. I didn't know that was a spin-off.
Police Squad is basically Naked Gun, the TV show.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I remember my dad showing me those movies and just laughing my ass off. It's like,
yeah. I mean, I love these. I love Hot Shots. I love, this whole genre of movie. They don't really make these anymore. And when they do, like the scary movies and
that's what I was going to say.
The Not Another Teen movie, like those, they're trash. They're just, it's not the same thing. Or are we just adults now?
I think probably a little bit of both. I remember I've only seen like who knows which scary movie I've seen, but they're all the same. I am a fan of like the Wayans humor.
Yeah. Well, they only did the first two,
but they only did. Yeah. And so it just kind of like gets watered down as it goes on and more dumb. They don't do that anymore because it took a lot of distastefulness to get to involved, this movie, it wasn't as cringy as I thought it would be.
Oh, really?
I don't think so. Do you think it was?
Well, you had never heard of it, right?
No, I had heard of it. I had never seen it. Let me real quick.
Let me
read off. So I'm going to read the back of the VHS just to give you guys an idea of what we're talking about. It says, ready for a devil of a good time? Linda Blair will scare you silly when she's repossessed. So Linda Blair was the chick in The Exorcist. She was the ultimate, will always be the ultimate and first just possessed chick. That was spoofed and redone so many times. Blair stars in this uproarious laugh fest with Leslie Nielsen, the deadpan comedy hero who provided loop-de-loops of laughter in Airplane and rapid-fire hilarity in The Naked Gun. The fun begins when grown-up Blair starts spewing curses and pea soup. This is a job for an ex-exorcist, Nielsen. So he gears up to battle the spirit world and finds he must also outwit a pair of phony TV evangelists, including Ned Beatty, trying to cash in on the exorcism biz. Get repossessed. You won't be able to get the laughs out of your system. That's pretty accurate.
Yeah. Who wrote that? That's
I don't know,
terribly written.
It was like somebody's cousin's uncle.
Yeah. But that's wild. Yeah. I mean, it explains the plot, I guess.
They're almost treating it, or it's like they got the permission to treat it as like a type of sequel to
it's essentially a sequel to The Exorcist. I mean, it's not
Linda Blair's Exorcist,
sort of, but there's a big thing that happens in The Exorcist that wouldn't allow for this to happen. But spoilers for The Exorcist. The priest dies in The Exorcist at the end. And I think that's why they start this shot with him falling down the stairs and then being like, oh, and getting up and being like,
dude.
And
he even looks like him. Dude, that was my biggest, not to say there weren't other laughs. That was my biggest laugh. I love when somebody is doing something and then it just keeps going on and he's falling down and they keep showing it just from a different angle and it's just nonstop. I love that. It was hilarious.
So my experience with this movie was, I think I saw it when I was 9 or 10. I had it on tape. I watched it a million times. I saw this before I'd even heard of The Exorcist. Sure. This is my introduction into exorcism.
Yeah.
Which is wild. And for a 10-year-old, this is a perfect movie because I wonder if the jokes were hack then, I wonder if people were rolling their eyes at some of these jokes then, and I just hadn't heard the jokes yet. Like I didn't know they were hacked because I hadn't heard them before. Like the John Hancock joke.
Yeah.
And I didn't even really get that joke as a kid, but I knew it. That's the other thing. Like if it was something that I didn't get, I assumed it was hilarious.
I probably did the same thing. I mean, as a kid, I think you do that. I mean, the adults are laughing. It must be funny.
Yeah, but I mean, no adults were watching this with me.
Yeah.
Like, they were like.
I mean, do you remember laughing?
There were no.
While watching
I remember laughing my ass off at this movie.
Okay.
Yeah, but no kids would watch this with me either.
This movie is every single thing that's said in this movie, almost literally every single thing is a joke.
Is a gag. Yeah.
Or a gag.
And they set up like things like I think the younger priest, I think they named him Luke.
Yeah.
Just to
they could do Star Wars
just
jokes.
so they could do like Star Wars jokes. Or like they put Linda Blair in a blue dress just so they can sing Devil in a Blue Dress at the end of the movie.
At the end of the movie. Sure. I'm sure. I think the comedy, the written comedy for this movie in the script, I think it was absolutely all intentional. I think that maybe a third of it landed.
Yeah. A third of it. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I laughed plenty of times, but
it was fine. It was for what it was. I mean, I'll agree with you that it wasn't. Once it started, I was like, oh man, this might be really cringy. Because I was curious because I haven't seen it in at least 20 years.
Yeah.
I was in high school 20 years ago, so I might not have seen it in 25 years. Yeah, I was just really curious if it would hold up because some movies don't. Like I'm afraid to watch Men in Tights.
Oh, I just watched it the other day. It holds up.
Yeah.
Well,
it holds up, but like, do you think if you saw it for the first time today,
you wouldn't laugh as much? It definitely has a nostalgia to it.
Spaceballs is like that too.
Spaceballs I love, and I hated that movie when I first saw it. Spaceballs has grown on me exponentially.
My wife loves that, and I know I've said this before. Never seen Star Wars.
Yeah, she's a maniac. I know that. Men in Tights is definitely, I would say, Mel Brooks' weakest. But you think? What do you think?
Maybe. I don't know. I really loved that movie when it was new.
You should rewatch it. It was just on the other day, and I had it on. It came out as a spoof of Kevin Costner's Robin Hood.
Yeah.
And I loved that Robin Hood movie. I haven't seen that in years. So I stayed away from this for a long time, from Men in Tights.
There's a lot of that, like where something will be. I was watching The Simpsons an hour ago. You forget like things that were huge around this time, like massive, are in everything around this time. Like in the same way, like the Matrix
culturally.
Yeah, like the Matrix thing where like, the Matrix kick was for 5 years. Every movie, people were ripping off and people were spoofing it.
Sure.
Like it was everywhere.
Yeah.
But that at least is an iconic shot. Like that's going to live on forever. But like I'm watching The Simpsons just now and they have a whole big long joke about you can't handle the truth from A Few Good Men. And that was everywhere. Sure. That was a huge line.
Yeah.
It's going to be lost on generations because The Few Good Men didn't. It's just
the appeal is
lost.
The mass audience isn't appeal isn't there for that.
Yeah, it's not Forrest Gump. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not
The Matrix. Not
the Matrix. Yeah, it's not The Matrix. It's just a movie that was popular for a year.
Yeah. But it was huge. And the people that were watching The Simpsons were mostly like our parents at the time. Yeah, the kids were watching it too, but
I mean, I got the
getting the jokes. Most of it was the parents because kids weren't watching A Few Good Men,
Sure, but like you look at, I mean, I don't know. There's Grey Poupon jokes and stuff. Like there's, you know what I mean? Like that is like insane. Like, there's a Grey Poupon joke in Wayne's World, and it's like, this commercial is not going to be on in a year.
Yeah,
what are you doing? I mean, it was a very popular commercial.
It's latching onto a cultural. That stuff doesn't happen anymore. Not only are what you're saying like about things sticking doesn't happen anymore, but it's because we don't have these little pop culture blips that like, where's the beef?
Well, like, I mean, look at like when Jersey Shore was popular, everything did a Jersey Shore episode. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that.
I never got it. I have no reference for that.
I've never seen the show, but I noticed that other shows I watched commented on, or even I was going to bring up Scary Movie. Have you ever seen Scary Movie 2? I know you said they kind
of. I'm sure I have. I don't know.
The first 10 minutes of Scary Movie 2 is just an Exorcist spoof. That's all it is.
Okay.
And it's got James Woods in it.
The flies, and doesn't he bang
No,
Do they
he
have sex
poops.
or something?
He comes in and he poops while he's like with all the flies. And then honestly, I think it's the funniest scene. I think he delivers a line that's funnier than anything in this movie or anything in the other Scary Movie movies. He just comes in the room, and Andy Richter is like the younger priest. He walks in the room, and he looks like Max von Sydow. Like he, but he comes in. Reagan's head like spins, and he just like his delivery is great. He just goes, "Fuck this," and he leaves. I remember seeing that in the theater, and the whole theater lost. Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. And they're like,
he's only in the beginning of it, right?
Yeah, and same with Andy Richter. But like, and you'll love it. There's another joke that's like, oh yeah, it just goes on forever. Like, but yeah, I thought that first 10 minutes of Scary Movie 2 is better than this. Although I liked it. It was fine. It was super stupid.
Well, this didn't really go. Yeah, the Linda Blair character is there through the whole movie, but this doesn't focus on spoofing the horror aspects.
No, it really is barely a spoof of the Exorcist.
Exactly. Because you get deep into like the evangelist stuff, which I don't know if you remember, but I grew up, a big chunk of my grade school was in North Carolina, and so the Tammy Faye, Jim Bakker stuff was like front and center. You know them. They just did a movie about them.
I mean, I know who they were. They played them on TV,
and that's what these two are, Ned Beatty and his wife.
Yeah,
that's the spoof there. So that's another one of those things where people today, that Tammy Faye movie came out, and somebody famous is in it. I forget who, but plenty of people have said, like, I've heard them say, like, who's that? Who are Tammy Faye and Jim Bakker?
Well, but evangelical TV, like, people are still like, Joel Osteen's still around, and
right. But I'm saying the scandal aspect of it. It was another one of those cultural blips that didn't live on, like what you were saying earlier. And so for them to spoof that, it's one thing to spoof The Exorcist, which will always be one of the all-time greatest horror movies of ever. But that scandal, the Tammy Faye, Jim Bakker scandal, was one of those blips that people watching this now are like, it wouldn't register. Yeah. Not that it needs to,
but there, I mean, yeah, you get that they're Ned Beatty. I wonder how they got him to do this, man.
Superman 2 or whatever it was.
Yeah, he isn't. Yeah, that's right. He's in Exorcist 2 as well.
He's in Exorcist?
He's in the second one.
Oh, that's the one that's really bad, right?
It's not that it's bad. It's just not like, it's boring. I've only seen it once. I thought it was boring. It kind of like expands the lore a little bit, but it's not, I don't know. I'm going
to lose street cred, but I've actually never seen The Exorcist all the way through, like in one sitting. And I've only seen clips of 3, which everybody says is
3 solid.
Solid, yeah.
3 is good. 2, you could totally skip 2.
I want to sit down with them sometime.
I would sit down with 1, and sit. 1 is a legitimate good movie.
Absolutely.
Like I don't know if it won Best Picture. I know it was up for it, and it like deserves it. It's a really good fucking movie.
Sure. I have to be in a mood to do exorcisms, though.
I always say the same thing when it comes to The Exorcist, but then once it's on, I'm like, yep.
Okay.
This movie kicks fucking ass.
I'm sure. As far as the evangelist, though, some of my favorite stuff in this movie was with them. Of course, we're back to killing dogs in this movie.
I forgot about that part. I think that was my favorite part as a kid. I forgot about it when he did it. That was one of the only times I laughed out loud.
Twice. The one with the wood chipper, and then
and he feeds the other one with the snake. And I was dying the second time.
But even better than that, great. Even better than that, though, man, was like, for people who haven't heard our first season, I think almost every movie we watched killed a dog.
Yeah.
Which it was just insane. But almost better than that was when she's like,
I know.
Something like, she's like, something's wrong with my ensemble or whatever.
She's like, do you mind if I change?
Really quick? And he's like, hurry up. She opens the closet and she's holding one of her little dogs. She opens the closet and there's all these real little,
she's got like
breed dogs,
10 tiny little dogs
hanging like chihuahuas, like hanging in the closet alive.
Yeah.
Actual real dogs.
Yeah.
There's probably a dozen in there. And
I
the
mean, that's what I
looks-
imagine Paris Hilton does. Is like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna go with what dog goes with my outfit today.
Dude, the looks on the dogs' faces is priceless. I mean, I took a video of my screen and I sent it to my sister with no context, and she's like, "What are you watching?" It's hilarious.
I do love that when Ned Beatty throws the fucking thing in the because they're driving and like there's a squeak toy and he throws it out the window into the wood chipper and the dog jumps out and jumps into the wood chipper.
Yeah.
I never noticed there's someone else in the car with them.
Oh, like
like
sitting across from them.
Like there's a guy being like, "Hey, you got to get the numbers up or we're gonna put your ministry out of business."
Yeah.
And then then he does that, and I wish they would have just shown the guy being like, "What the
What
fuck,
the fuck?
dude? What did you just do?"
That was hilarious because it's all, and then the look on Beatty's face after he does it, he's so proud.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. And the dudes on the street are like at the wood chipper, they're like looking at
What
this
the
pile
hell?
of fur.
Yeah. A bunch of pink fur comes shooting
Fucked
out of
up.
the wood chipper.
That's hilarious.
I like that. Like I don't know what it is. I don't know the
You don't
right.
like animals, so yeah.
It's not even that I don't like them. It's like that. I tell you what, one of the hardest I've ever laughed in a movie. It was in Anchorman when Jack Black kicks the dog off the bridge.
Oh yeah, that's hilarious.
That's his like I thought I was gonna have a heart attack the first time I saw that.
Yeah,
because well now this happened. He takes it,
dude. Anytime you kick a small living thing, because there's that scene in Dead Alive, with the demonic baby.
Yeah,
and there's a scene where somebody kicks it, and it's obviously a doll. It's the most hilarious. Because it's the same with the dog when Jack Black. It's a stuffed dog.
Yeah, it's clearly
and you could clearly
dog,
tell. But there's nothing I don't think more hilarious than having like the real thing and then a quick cut and you kick like a doll. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah,
every time I see it.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say about a couple of the gags. Did you have a?
Oh yeah, I made a list of like, all right, these are the ones that landed for me.
Okay,
for a while in the beginning, I was like, shit, man, this might be pretty bad. Well,
it started off. I don't know if you caught it, but even before the movie started, they're doing that like that THX sound where it goes
the giant,
and then there's like farts,
a fart noise.
That was good, and that kicks off the movie. And then it was like the falling down the steps, and I was like, this is hilarious. But then when it got into Leslie Nielsen in the classroom, that's kind of where it lost me, and I was just like, and it keeps cutting back to him as he's telling the story, and then he'll talk fourth wall style to the audience. And I was just like, this is how we're going to do Nielsen. But then they finally do bring him into the story later on. The gags were hit and miss.
The gags are weird because it's a lot of basically Family Guy jokes or like background jokes. And they're stupid. They're like, oh, I just had a few cases of the flu come in. And like a guy walks in the background and has two giant boxes that say flu. Or like that, what got me was when she goes to the doctor, he's with a patient and he's like, okay, how's the new arm working out? He's like, oh, I love it. It's too bad that wrestler had to die for me to get it.
Yeah.
And then he goes, okay, I'll see you later. And then the arm like attacks him. It's like doing wrestling moves on him.
I actually really like that doctor scene because it was like when they kept going to the different doctors. And then the one is clearly a woman with like a beard and mustache.
Yeah.
What was that about? What's the joke there?
Because that's what I mean. Like the first two doctors had that same beard. It was like,
so it was just
like he looks at her, goes and like strokes his beard, and they go to another doctor who has the same beard and is like and then the third doctor's a woman, and it's like okay. And
I thought that was hilarious. Like all of them having the same reaction, stroking their beard. I was just like, it was good.
I mean, yeah, it was fun. And they're like, I like the little like bad jokes almost like I said, the flu thing, or like at one point, like the younger priest is like reading a book and he's like
Charles Manson.
He's like soul searching, and the book is called Believe in Yourself by Charles Manson. Like, that's great. I wish I could have been like the prop guy in the prop department because there was a lot of props that like the Bible vending machine. That's a stupid joke, but you have to have a guy make that.
Yeah. Totally.
There's so many things like that in this movie. Like there's a little insurance machine that you get. Like there's all these little things.
I liked some of the subtle stuff. Father May I, sister brothers.
Oh yeah, I forgot about sister brothers.
And then when he's like, she's like talking to him, and she's like, Father, I need you to come by the house. He's like, okay, what's your address? 733 Sex Drive. It's like the joke isn't.
Is that even a joke? Like, yeah, I mean, it clearly
it's
is. Like, are you 11?
Yeah, but for the character to say, "My name is Father, may I?" Okay, you don't. Maybe that character in this universe doesn't get the joke, but for a character to say, "I live on sex drive," like the character would know what they're saying. You know that it's ridiculous, but they don't even care in this movie. They're just like, "That's the address." Like every single thing was a joke, was a gag or a joke. It was insane.
It was. That's the thing about these kind of movies is like there's so many jokes that a couple of them are going to get, you know what I mean? Like a couple of them are going to get you. So
yeah,
if one of them doesn't land, like by the time you're like rolling your eyes, we're already on to 2 other jokes.
Yeah, you know? No, absolutely. I think the most cringy, if you even want to call it that, at least for me, was the rap that Father Luke did.
Oh yeah. This is of that time. It's like it's 1990. So rap is kind of a fad still, or like
it's one of those things that in 1990 people, it was cool, or it was almost like you were culturally, I hate this word, but culturally woke.
Not even like, because it was clearly lame, like, right?
I guess, but if a white person did a rap like this at the time, it was funny. It was like, or at least it was accepted as funny, whether it was funny or not. But like,
and I think this is what rap I mean, it was better than this, but it was still like that Rapper's Delight style. You know what I mean? Where it was just like,
or Debbie Harry, like,
like you could do it,
or
like like a comedy writer could write a rap song.
Sure,
you know,
and it was funny because it was a white person joking on it, you know, like
and doing the
the cross arm.
Yeah.
I mean, I laughed my ass off when he was doing it, but at the same time, I was like, wow, that's rough.
I couldn't even look at the screen. I was like, oh Jesus.
Oh man, that's rough. It reminded me of, because at this time in 1990, you were getting some awesome stuff in the West, in the East Coast. The West Coast rap scene hadn't really come around yet, but East Coast was getting like Eric B and Rakim and Tribe Called Quest, and like, which is some of my favorite stuff. So when I see this, it almost like, it's like, wow, man, how out of touch were we at the time, you know, to think that this is like portraying that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just bizarre.
It's like the end of Elvira, like when she,
oh my God,
that's,
oh my God,
you know,
I love that. Well, that was even before this, wasn't it? 80, wasn't that 80?
Yeah, that was before that. Yeah, it was. I wanted to talk about the director and the cast a little bit.
I didn't notice Bob Logan. I didn't.
Bob Logan. Yeah. So I thought maybe he might have dated Linda Blair, because he has 4 projects star Linda Blair that are all very small. And she, you know, I think she had a hard time after The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Getting work. She got into like
softcore
porn. No.
She did, didn't she?
No.
I can Google right now and find nudies of her.
I mean, she might have done nudity in a movie, but I don't think she had softcore porn.
No, it was like, maybe it was Playboy. She did Playboy?
Maybe she might have done Playboy.
She did something that was naughty. I don't know what it was.
I know she got caught stealing. She got caught with cocaine, whatever. And she got caught buying cocaine, whatever. I mean, she was young. Who gives a shit? I mean, anyway, but first of all, I think she's great in this movie. I think she's really good.
She really is, actually.
I think
she really
everything.
Is. Yeah.
I think maybe not all of her jokes land, but like none of them are like, ooh, you wouldn't expect. She's keeping up with Leslie Nielsen. Oh wow, no kidding.
There's a lot of it. She did something. She did something. I don't know what it was. Playboy or something.
Look that up. But anyway, but yeah, she's keeping up with Leslie Nielsen as far as the, like, you know, the stupid humor goes. But yeah, she had a few projects with him, and Bob Logan, though, he like early in his career, he worked on a few like cartoon. Like, he was one of the guys that developed that Ghostbusters cartoon, not real Ghostbusters, the like.
The
Funimation one with the gorilla.
Really?
Yeah, he developed that. He was one of the big guys on New Battlestars, which is like, that's one of your shows, right?
You talking about Battlestar Galactica?
No, New Battlestars, the cartoon.
I
think it was like Cowboys in Space. When I saw the post, I was like, oh, that's one. I thought that was one of your shows. Maybe.
So this is all like super early 80s stuff.
Yeah, and then he worked on and then he worked on the Dennis the Menace cartoon, and then he did this.
What else did he do with Linda Blair?
He did one, looks like a romantic comedy Meatballs 4. She's not in Meatballs 4, but he did do Meatballs 4. And that I forget what the other two were.
Okay.
Besides this. Also, Father Brophy, Father Luke, the
that guy
actor's
was
name,
familiar. He was familiar.
he did, and it drove me crazy. And I still don't really know what he was from. Like he's had bit parts here and there.
Yeah.
That actor's name is Tony Stark. I mean, he goes by Anthony Stark.
Okay.
But Tony
That's
Stark.
hilarious. That's hilarious. No, he's definitely, I don't think he ever really had a starring role in anything, but he was always around in like the mid 80s to the 90s.
I mean, he still pops up, and I guess he's been on the new MacGyver. I mean, I think he's just a working actor. You know?
Absolutely. That's hilarious. That's his name.
Yeah, something like, especially a name like that. It's one thing,
Anthony Stark, Tony Stark. I totally agree with you about Linda Blair and her chops in this movie. And especially shame on me for not ever like sitting down and watching The Exorcist in full. But she's done other movies, Hell's Gate or something like that. I've watched and I've really dug her. Like, I think she was in The Exorcist, which at the time was a massively popular movie, and especially being popular for the genre that it is, which didn't happen very often back then to get that much credit. Just spun her, and she was a kid for the most part, a teen, spun her in the wrong direction, probably had some shitty parents or I don't know what, and her career did what it did.
I'm sure she got typecast, and
I've always thought she was like super attractive though, even when she was like demoned out and all that shit.
Well, she's like 12 and when. Oh, you mean in the movie?
And just like and stuff that I saw after. No, like I said, I've never really seen it, but stuff that she did after, and even in this, like I was like, and like the scenes that when she gets possessed initially, when she's sitting in front of the TV, and she has like these weird contact lenses and her eyes go across and she turns her head. And I have this weird thing about that. Like it's like, oh, I dig this chick. It's really bizarre.
Which
I wanted to mention her husband, who is another
Tom
super
Sharp,
familiar dude.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Looked him up. He had not in anything. I mean, he's another guy. He's been
I think I know him from commercials. I think he did.
Yeah, that could be it.
80s like fast food or toy commercials. But I thought he was hilarious. He was a really good like in this. I thought he was a really good like side whatever.
Yeah, kind of like a Chevy Chase light kind of humor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love the scene where she's like, when she initially gets possessed and she goes into the bedroom and she's like flopping around the bed. She's like, make it stop.
Yeah. And then just turns out that
grabs the remote.
Yeah. The bed does that.
What are you going
to do? I hate this thing.
Yeah.
It's like I said, I don't know if that's just an obvious joke. And, and at the time, like watching the 10, I didn't get that. I didn't understand that like people had beds that did that. Did people ever actually have bed? I know that like, they'd have hotels where beds vibrate and stuff, but like
hotels, I don't think that you would have a bed like this in your house that was so violent, Well,
yeah.
I wanted to ask you about I don't know what scene it is. What scene is it where, I guess it's the beginning. They eventually want to perform The Exorcist on national television.
Yeah.
The Exorcism on national television. So they have this almost like a red carpet thing. And there's that scene where the paparazzi are like, oh, it's Sean Penn.
Yeah.
They never show him, but somebody gets out of a limousine and just starts like tossing reporters.
Yeah.
Like,
people are getting punched in the face and flying.
Is that because was that like when it started his whole like,
yeah, he punched a couple of guys in the paparazzi. Like, I remember that being news, kind of
big news.
Yeah,
that was pretty funny. And there was also the paparazzi scene where the guys like got the leaf blower on the sidewalk and they're just tumbling like paparazzi.
Yeah, they're like
rolling down the sidewalk.
They were like homeless guys. You know what?
Maybe they were.
Funny?
I don't know. Yeah.
Right after that, they spoof, and it's one of the only times in the whole movie where they spoof like a real shot, like a real thing from the movie. I mean, there's things in this that like refer to the other one, but it's not like in Scary Movie, they recreate the shot, like, and so you really get the sense. This doesn't really do that. But the scene where the cab pulls up and then he gets out and like looks at the play, like it's like the iconic shot. It's on the cover of the box of The Exorcist, The joke in this and in Scary Movie 2 are almost exactly the same joke.
Really?
Yeah, the cab drives away and then pulls back and he goes, You call that a tip, you cheap bastard, and then drives away. That's the joke, is that he left the cabbie a shitty tip.
That's awesome.
In Scary Movie, James Woods gets out of the cab, like looks at the place, and then just ditches the kid, just runs away. And he's like, "Hey, you got to pay me, you bastard."
That's awesome. I want to watch that again just for James Woods. I want to see.
I mean, it's worth it. It's 8 minutes long.
He doesn't really do comedy.
No, and like he's having a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's already a maniac. So like in the hands of like whoever did Scare the Wayans brothers, did they do that one too?
Yeah, they did the second one.
Fuck.
But like, I mean, he doesn't give a fuck. Like he's in the movie for 5 minutes, and for 3 of it, he's like shitting like in Dumb and Dumber. Like he didn't give a fuck. It's and Andy Richter's in it. We'll just watch it. It's funny.
I'll check it out, definitely. Did you catch this movie did a lot of blatant music ripoffs? Did you catch those?
Yeah.
Did you catch the NXS one? Devil Inside?
Yeah.
Well, there was Chasing the Devil, and it was like the music is almost verbatim. I'm surprised they got away with it.
I mean, everything's like that. I was surprised. I thought of you twice because they do. They do. I know you like when your movie has a theme and preferably like a rap song, like
Yeah.
This has 2. Like it has the opening song where they're singing like Repossessed and whatever.
Yeah.
But then during the credits, there's a full on like another rap song that talks about the entire plot of the movie.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, the music in this movie was like it was bizarre, and it added to when you look at Leslie Nielsen movies like the Naked Gun stuff, all that. There's a level of quality to those movies.
Yeah,
that I felt this one was severely lacking.
Yeah,
didn't you?
I agree.
Like this was definitely like it was just
it felt like the jokes were like, what if I do this, or I don't know, and
just the quality of the movie. I was surprised that it was like this got a legitimate theatrical release, right?
Oh yeah. I couldn't find the budget. I don't know what they spent on it. Opening weekend, it made $266,000. The total gross was basically 1.4 million. That's it. So it was a bomb. It was a big bomb.
Really? I can't imagine them having to pay. Oh, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, any movie's gonna cost like $1 million. Like
back then,
maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I
don't know, because it's like their budget had to have been dirt.
Sure.
Other than paying Leslie Nielsen might have gotten a check, and Linda Blair. The rest of them were probably working for scale or something.
I bet they had to pay Jesse Ventura and Mean Gene. I mean, they were in 1990. They were big.
Were they?
I mean, Mean Gene was the announcer for WWF.
Yeah, I guess. What do you think about those guys?
It was great to see them. It was funny. Yeah, I thought they were good.
Actually, I think of all, maybe even worse than the rap song was some of the stuff that Ventura said was like really, really like, what's the word I'm looking for? Misogynistic, I guess.
Sure.
Which I guess was his character at the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it didn't even read. Maybe it's because it was already in my head. But like, oh yeah, you know what? It threw me off because I forgot about that. Where he goes like, "Nice tits, though." Yeah, like Mean Gene. I think
stuff
Mean
like
Gene
that. Yeah, that. Mean Gene wasn't Mean Gene.
It was in passing. Like it was just like, "Yo, no, she's gonna take him out and he's gonna do this." Yeah, nice tits though. Yeah, all right, go back to you.
Yeah,
like, totally. And I was just like, I never noticed they said that.
I never I had friends at the time. I guess this was before that too. I never got into the wrestling scene. It just was.
I got into it. I got into it later.
Wasn't Mean Gene more classy than the rest of the group?
What do you mean?
His character. He wasn't a dirty, mouthy wrestler like.
No, he was like a straight
Ventura was. Yeah.
Yeah. His job was to interview the wrestlers.
Yeah.
And the wrestlers were the ones that were, fucking
maniacs.
The way they were. Yeah.
Why do you think that of all people they chose Ventura?
Probably because he would do it. They probably went to Hulk Hogan. He was like, no. And I mean, a guy out of all the personalities, like, guys like Ultimate Warrior can't do it. Under the Giant can't do it, because Under the Giant has like a crazy accent.
Yeah.
Ultimate Warrior just screams and,
What about Roddy Piper? Why do you think they didn't go to him?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
He was kind of legit at this point.
He could do it. Yeah. I mean, yeah, this is around that time. Roddy Piper could have done it. I mean, Jesse Ventura is just a much bigger dude too. Like he looks like a.
Was he a big deal at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Jesse the Body was a big deal. But by 1990, yeah, he was big.
Okay.
I mean, he was already in Predator.
Yeah.
At this point.
That's true. He looks in when I look at him in this movie, and I think about Predator. In this one, he looks way younger for some reason. But Predator was like
because he doesn't have a beard.
Yeah, he's my
and yeah. Talk about misogynistic, man.
Yeah, seriously,
that's all.
But he's also one of my favorite parts in that movie.
He's the best. He's a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus.
So he does have some of the best.
He
lines.
pulls off some of those lines like they're not insane. You know what I mean? Like totally. They're not the most. If someone said them to you in person, it wouldn't be the craziest thing anybody's ever said to you. Every line he has is like, yeah, I like Jesse the Body. Yeah, you know, not to get off on too big of a tangent, but you know his show. He had a show about conspiracy theories.
Really? Like when?
Yeah.
When?
A couple of years ago.
So post governor.
Yeah, post governor. Okay. Yeah, he had a show. I think it was on Sci-Fi. I don't remember.
Well, he lost his fucking mind at some point.
But he went. But what I do remember, and there's probably more context than I'm giving it, but basically he did an episode on the JFK papers or like on the documents, and then because a lot of them like it hasn't been released, and he just went to like the House of Records or whatever, like with a camera crew, and was like, "We want to see the paper," and they were like, "What? Get the fuck out! What are you talking about, man?" And like went and got in an argument with security and all this shit, and they're like, what? Like just trying to get the JFK like assassination information.
That's awesome.
Like just the idea
like he had the right to.
Yeah, like hey, yeah, we'd like to see the JFK papers. Like, what? Are you out of your fucking mind?
So the end of the movie is the exorcism, which is just this weird lore, like Benny Hill almost. Like
yeah. Oh, you when it's jumping from body to body.
Insanity. Yeah. The whole last 20 minutes, 15 minutes of the movie. It's just like bananas.
Yeah, it's not. And well, okay, before we get to that part, you want to talk about the giant gym segment in the middle of the movie?
Oh, yeah. Like with you talking about with Jack LaLanne?
Is that who the
old guy
bodybuilder was?
The old guy?
Well, the guy at the gym, like his trainer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, that's Jake.
That's a real guy.
Yeah, he's a real guy. His name's Jake something. And at the time, probably around this time to like the mid 90s, he was like a big kind of trying to break into acting, but a fitness dude. Trying to think of somebody analogous to what he was like now, but I guess people don't really get into like buff dudes anymore. But he wasn't anything like really special. He was
was it like an infomercial guy?
Kind of. He was also on a sitcom that was like kind of like Saved by the Bell, but not. So he did a little bit of acting, but yeah, he wasn't anything special. He wasn't anything bad. He was just kind of like a regular dude that was buff and trying to like do acting. But that whole gym scene was like,
it goes on forever.
It does.
And they do every joke they can come up with, like in that thing, man. It was.
I mean, I put it in my notes, like Leslie Nielsen's pink unitard alone was like just insane. Like,
I mean, I think that's kind of what I love about Leslie Nielsen is he's willing to like go for it.
Totally.
You know,
that's
like,
what I was saying.
Not,
like
he can't be embarrassed.
Absolutely. That's what I was saying. Like he was so in touch with what was at the time funny.
Yeah. Have you seen the fart interviews that he does?
No.
I meant to send you this. This is the funniest shit.
Whatever
it's
that
like,
is, that's hilarious.
And it's so funny because it's something like maybe like you would think an uncle would do or like a fucking kid in your class. He's like promoting movies that he does, and he's doing like junket interviews, and he just brings a fart machine and keeps hitting it, and like basically the interview guys will come in and he'll be like, "I'm sorry, I had some crazy salmon before you came." He says something weird. And they're like, okay. And then he just keeps farting. He's like, I don't even care anymore. Just keep with the questions. And the interview guys are like, what the fuck is going on? And they're like loud cartoon farts and fucking hysterical.
That's hilarious.
Like, and I don't think like this wasn't like, like no one told him to do this to like promote the movie. This like he brought it on like Letterman and stuff like later. Like after he did it for a while, like just for kicks.
Yeah.
He like brought it on like talk shows.
So he was like he he was just out there to have fun, like legitimately.
Yeah. Seemingly he was just, I'll send you this interview. It's fucking hilarious.
There's nobody else like that anymore, you know?
Not really. I mean,
just not taking himself too seriously, or the acting business, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you've got like, Jack Black still does like stuff like, well, yeah, okay, I'll dress up in a leotard or whatever, like, but nobody like this. Yeah, nothing.
Even guys like Jack Black. I mean, I used to really like Jack Black, like Tenacious D and stuff.
Yeah,
but anymore,
I still do.
Anymore, he's just become, I don't know, just tired, contrived. Yeah. His humor feels contrived.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But Neilsen, to do shit like that, or to do the movies that he did, it's like, especially at his age, it's like, hell yeah, dude.
I mean, once he died, and probably before, because he played the president in Scary Movie 3 and 4, and I think those are his last movies. But once he died, this genre kind of died with him.
Yeah, he was the king of it, man.
I mean, they still do. I guess they still do. Like they did Epic Movie and all that shit like 10 years ago. But like, those weren't. I remember I caught a few minutes of one of those, and it was like, they're not even jokes. They're just references.
Okay.
Like Iron Man shows up in a scene, and it's just like,
yeah,
that's the joke. It's Iron Man.
Yep.
It was really weird, but
like it or not, yes, the humor's dated in a movie like this. They were going for it.
Yeah, I mean, they were. Oh man, they were.
Whether it works or not,
I'll bet that Bob Logan, the guy that wrote this, I bet he wrote that gym sequence. I bet he wrote that at the gym. I'll bet he went to a gym with a notebook and was like, okay, I can do this. I can do that. Like, what if he's like everything? Like, you know what I mean? He's doing yoga at one point, and like, so stupid.
What did you say? He did Porky's 4? Is that what you said?
Meatballs 4.
Because there's a lot of like tit references or tit jokes and boob jokes.
Yeah, and when I was a kid, I remember thinking like when like the girls' boobs that explode.
Dude, that was still hilarious. I thought that was still good.
But it's like off camera, like, and it's not even like
it's off camera, but it builds through the entire scene, which, like you said, was really long.
Yeah,
but like it starts, she's like doing this like chest press, and it just keeps like bigger, growing and growing, like, and then until she explodes, and you can tell she's not an actor. Her face, because her face is like there's no relevant expression on her face every time they cut back to her. Like she's not acting to be a weightlifter. She's not acting to be like a porn anything.
She's like an extra. They just put this prosthetic on.
Totally. I thought that was still a good gag.
Did you have the thing like, how I brought up the Batman cage last week?
Yeah.
About how, were you watching this like with all these exercise machines being like, that's not how that machine works, or like that wouldn't happen?
Not at all. But like looking back on it, I think they did them correctly. Like,
well, there's a leg machine. He's doing like the leg, like the thing you squeeze.
Yeah.
Yeah. He shoots Luke like across the room, like at one point. And I was like,
yeah,
how the physics that whatever. But it was fine.
I never, especially with the gym, because the gym actually, when you're in it as much as I've been in it, you see dudes that are doing the wrong thing. Like,
I remember. I used to go to the gym all the time. And
they're using these machines like they're ape monkeys that just walked out of the zoo. There was a time in my life where I would walk up and be like, hey, just so you know, you're going to hurt yourself doing that. But now I like to just sit back and watch them be idiots, and just be like, go at it, man. Do your thing. And it's like watching this movie, this scene.
This scene, it was, I mean, not to say it went on too long, but it's probably the longest set piece in the movie. It's the longest segment in the movie. And
Father Luke keeps getting like jacked up and like throughout the whole thing. It's,
what's funny is every time, because he's wearing long sleeves and he's wearing priest gear for most of the movie, but every time that they show his, like, I think there's one part in this where he's wearing something, like he's wearing workout gear, and then at the end when he's playing the drums, like that dude's jacked.
Yeah, he was fit.
Yeah, he was in good shape. I was like, holy cow.
Which brings me, like, it was very strange that the entire, like, the way they get the exorcism to work is just by playing this song, like singing this whole song and dance number.
They just sing Devil with a Blue Dress.
And like Leslie Nielsen he's dressed like Bruce Springsteen, I suppose.
I mean, he does everybody. He does Michael Jackson. He does Elton John. He does,
That's right.
They just had to eat up time.
The Michael Jackson bit. I don't know. It's just so when you look, you have to look at these movies, which is one of my favorite aspects of that we've chosen to do vintage movies for the most part, because you have to look at them at the time that they were made.
Yeah.
And what was going on culturally, what was funny, what was accepted, and what isn't today. You can't judge any of these movies by what they were doing then.
Yeah, but I don't think this one really.
It doesn't.
Yeah, this one.
But with the Michael Jackson thing though, it's like Michael Jackson was, fucked himself up so bad that he was kind of a white dude when he died. Even at the time,
and he didn't have a nose, and I mean,
and that was all his doing, and there wasn't really another pop culture person like a black guy that Leslie Nielsen could have done without calling it blackface. So the fact that they used like Michael Jackson to do this, even though at the time he was massive, probably as big.
I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about like that he was doing.
He wasn't though. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like Michael Jackson had turned himself into a white person in so many ways.
Yeah. That's kind of funny.
It's almost like an extension of the joke.
My one big thing that I kept, so this is rated PG-13.
Really?
I don't,
okay.
yeah. And I remember this was, that's most, I probably brought this up people because there's two, nudity scenes in it.
I thought there were more than that. No,
there's just the two. I mean, besides that, they don't really swear. They don't. Yeah. And I don't understand why. Like, I don't understand why they didn't just get the R rate. Like, why not just be a rated R movie?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you've already clearly, like, you've got boobs in your movie. Yeah. And they swear like crazy in The Exorcist. Who's
your audience?
Yeah. But you could, slapstick is slapstick, but like you can get violent if you want. You could get more violent if if you making it rated R it
would up it.
You could stretch it out a little,
And that's what I'm saying when I was like, it's almost like this movie they didn't put everything that a movie like this should get to make it as funny or as bonkers as it could have been. If you'd gone for the R rating, I think the jokes would have been a little more edgier. Maybe you could do a little bit more with them. Yeah, it kind of like it's almost like it doesn't know who its audience is. Were the Naked Gun movies? What were those?
I think the most might have been PG.
Oh, really? Okay. I don't know. For some reason, like Hot Shots was like R, right?
No, Hot Shots was PG-13.
Was it really? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, this movie was just kind of like a weird, like limbo kind of thing.
Yeah, it was kind of between, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to put it,
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of the Leslie Nielsen movies like Dracula Dead and Loving It.
That's what I want to watch.
He's got these movies that are like, like Naked Gun and Airplane. Those are like renowned classics. And then you've got these. I mean, he's got Mr. Magoo, but I wouldn't call that.
I forgot about that. Damn.
Yeah, he did Mr. Magoo.
Yikes.
And what's so funny? That scene in the beginning, the would you please pull down your dress scene?
Yeah.
I didn't get that joke at all. But I watched that scene about 1 million times, and I watched it thinking like,
as a kid,
what is the joke? Like, why would he ask her that in the middle of class? Is that a joke?
Yeah.
And I didn't get that he meant like, no, pull the bottom part down because I didn't see your legs.
Yeah.
I was just like, why would he say that in the middle of class? And then he's surprised when she does that.
Oh, that reminds me that the nerd in class?
Yeah. The 80s nerd.
That was, that's like I thought it was it was a reference to Young Frankenstein. Remember in Young Frankenstein, there's the Gene Wilder's teaching class, and there's the guy who's like, professor, and he's the one that he says like, Dr.
Frankenstein.
Like, it's Frankenstein. Like but they keep going back to him. I thought it was cool that they did this in this movie, so it was like a spoof referencing a spoof in a way.
See, I didn't register with Young Frankenstein at all. Really?
And then he gets barfed on. Anytime somebody got barfed on, it was hilarious.
They love that barf joke, man.
Dude.
I think they use the same thing as in The Exorcist. They famously used split piece soup.
Yeah.
And that's like, I'd like a joke in this. Like,
from the beginning. Oh, what'd you think about the kids?
They were fine. They were annoying, but like, I liked it. Leslie Nielsen kept calling them out about like they're acting like, they're not good actors or whatever you would say. Yeah. I mean, they were fine. They probably didn't even have to be in the movie.
I thought it was hilarious that the son kept running around insisting it was PMS.
Well, and other characters like when he first brings it to that, that's another scene that had a few good laughs when Luke first goes to see Leslie Nielsen and he's like trying to get him to do it and he won't do it. That one it had a bunch of one. He says, "Is it PMS?" Like he thinks it's PMS, and then the other thing is he's like, "Well, what makes you think?" She's possessed. He's like, well, he says, it's all the regular things. It's an unruly voice, maniacal facial expressions, violent spasms. And he's like, well, she could just be related to Joe Cocker. Like, as a kid, I didn't know who Joe Cocker was. Now I do it. I'm like, that's funny. And then I love, this was, he's like, oh, I'm not going to do it. Luke leaves and he walks around and then the TV goes, well, and then what? It's like the news report. It's like, and once again, Father Maya has weaseled away out of another exorcism, and he hits the TV with the broom or whatever, and like the TV, like the guy on the TV, like a bunch of shit falls on him.
Shit falls from the ceiling.
Yeah, I was like, that's good. That's what I want.
They used the TV really well at the beginning. They were like flipping through the channels, and it was like all the shows were literal. Like,
they were super. It was like
Brideshead Revisited, and it was the literal bride's head on the table.
Wait, was Brideshead Revisited a real show?
It's like, I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. The hockey game that they flipped.
Yeah, the hockey game where
it was just like a brawl with the
it was fun. It wasn't as bad. It wasn't as good as I was kind of hoping it would have been. But it wasn't as bad as I was afraid it was going to be either.
Definitely not as cringy as you would think.
That being said, I don't think I'll ever watch it again.
Yeah.
It was a nice like, man, like it was just like Freaked, like where it was like I used to watch this nonstop. Same kind of humor, actually. I'm surprised I don't,
Sure.
I mean, I appreciate this kind of humor now and I like it still, but
I do too. But Freaked was like an example of like they went all out. Like that movie got everything that it could get, I think.
Yeah.
This movie didn't for some reason, which surprised me, being a Leslie Nielsen movie in the genre of what Leslie Nielsen is known for. I felt like this was like a poor man's version of a Leslie Nielsen movie. I really want to watch Dracula Dead and Loving. I've never seen that. I always wanted to when I was a kid.
Check it out
at some point.
I think it's a lot like that. Like I didn't see it a million times, but I watched it like that and Spy Hard. Like I think I saw one, once or twice. I think I saw Spy Hard a couple of times. That was on HBO a lot.
Every time you say one, I'm like, damn, you did that too.
It's a real good one, and he's not in it, but it's like this is Johnny Dangerously.
Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
That's this kind of
Joe
humor.
Piscopo.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Dude, that movie is awesome. Like that movie, I have some serious nostalgia for.
Yeah, that's a good one. But that's the same kind of shit. Like where
it is. But they did it at a time. That movie's like early 80s. Yeah. They did it at a time when movies like that got the deluxe treatment, especially with Michael Keaton being who.
Well, they were still ripping off Mel Brooks. It wasn't stale yet. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a Mel Brooks ripoff. It was like, hey, let's rip off Mel Brooks. Let's do this. Like, Yeah.
Plus, Keaton and Piscopo, man, at that time, you can't lose.
They're both really, really good in that.
Shit. What did I just see? Oh, Piscopo was in the Gilbert Gottfried documentary that I watched.
I still haven't watched that yet.
It's only like a couple of years old, so it's Piscopo relatively current. He's gotten old, but that dude was something back in the day. You ever see Dead Heat, where he plays him and Treat Williams, him and their cops with like the zombie thing that's going on.
He's on an episode of Next Gen of Star Trek Next Generation.
Piscopo is.
Yeah, because Data is trying to learn comedy.
Okay.
Like he doesn't understand what like jokes or humor.
Yeah.
So he goes into the holodeck and he makes a stand-up comedian, and Joe Piscopo teaches him about comedy for the whole episode.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Dude, his Frank Sinatra is one of the best.
Yeah. I mean, you watch that episode.
Yeah, I'll check that out. Maybe. All right, man. What else you got on this? Anything else?
No, nothing really. It was fine. The makeup, the last thing, makeup was really good.
Minimally used, but it was good, especially on her.
I think they went all out with what they had to.
Cool, man. Good pick. I'm glad we did it. It was a good.
Yeah, I probably should have picked Return of the Living Dead or Reanimator, two masterpieces.
No, I think this is like those are those are great movies.
Yeah, those are great. But that's the thing. Like we said a lot of it,
Yeah. What do you say about those movies? They're fun to watch. They're great to watch. But speaking of next week, I have letter S.
S.
So man, this is a good letter.
Yes.
This is a good
It is
letter.
yeah, man.
So let me I was torn between, again, I wanted to find something that you hadn't seen, or possibly both of us. God damn, dude. Scanners, Scream, The Shining, Sleepaway Camp, Slumber Party Mask. Have you ever seen Slumber Party Massacre?
No.
The Driller Killer. That's a good movie. I could have picked Society, which I would never pick. Fuck that movie. God damn it.
That was I recommended that to Adam when we first started out.
And I watched it, and it was body horror, it can only go so far with me, and that was like just too much. God damn it. Last season we did The Stuff, right?
We did do The Stuff, yeah.
Right. That was great. So I'm pretty sure you haven't seen, I'm pretty sure you said you haven't seen this. I'm gonna go with Silver Bullet, the werewolf.
The werewolf movie. I've not seen it. No.
Okay, cool. With Corey Haim. You'll recognize main villain. You'll recognize him. It's based on a Stephen King book, Werewolves, man.
What year?
85. I grew up with this movie, watching it all the time. It's got like a little bit of that whimsy from Stephen King books that it has. It's got the horror mix. It's got werewolves. I think you'll dig it. Yeah. But yeah, next week for letter S, Silver Bullet. What else you got? Anything else?
Yeah. So IMDb. I went to the trivia section because that's the other thing. The DVD of this, the only special feature that's available on any DVD, it's like a pop-up video. They barely tell you any like cool facts about it. Anyway, so I went to IMDb. They also don't have a whole lot of fun facts about it. However, I did add a couple. Let's see if they're still up. I added them.
That's awesome. That's hilarious.
So originally,
for those that don't know, apparently Kevin found out that apparently you can go onto IMDb and write any facts that you wish about certain movies, or any movie, I guess.
Yeah. In the trivia section, it says it's regulated. It says it's like Wikipedia, where if you write it, they check it out, and if it's legit, they post it.
Yeah.
But that's horseshit, I think, because you can write literally. Okay, so here's the two things I wrote. Where are they?
About Repossessed.
Repossessed. The two facts I added were but a couple of people found it interesting, which is good. Okay, so this is one I wrote down. So after seeing an early cut of the film, Leslie Neilsen insisted more farts be added in post-production. This is why the film opens on a loud fart.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
And then just to see like how much they're not watching it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, maybe they're just like, okay, yeah, Leslie Nielsen's in it. Okay, yep, pass. Last time we did this, it was for Once Bitten.
Yeah.
And the fact I added was that there was a deleted scene in which all the vampires had to eat cockroaches, and Jim Carrey insisted they eat real cockroaches.
Okay.
And then all the actors were upset because that scene got cut and they had to eat cockroaches for nothing.
Complete bullshit.
Yeah. So for this, I wrote, in the deleted scene, Linda Blair's character was required to eat cockroaches. Jim Carrey insisted real cockroaches be used. Linda Blair was upset because this scene was cut and she was forced to eat cockroaches for no reason.
Dude, that is awesome. And both of those, when did you write those?
Yesterday.
And they're still up.
Yeah.
Did you say that somebody liked them or something?
Yeah, you can go on and it'll say, did you find this interesting? And you can hit yes. And
so that means that someone out there is still looking for content on Repossessed.
Maybe. Yeah.
What the fuck? Dude, that's hilarious. What was the first one again that you wrote?
I wrote that Leslie Nielsen insisted more farts be added.
Dude, that is amazing. That is amazing.
Which, by the way,
can you screen cap that and send it to me? So
that's the other thing is that opening joke, the THX joke, where it's just a big loud fart. It has three initials. It's like BF whatever, but it doesn't tell you what
the acronym is.
Yeah,
what
says,
That's hilarious.
It's really weird.
That's good stuff, man. IMDb, trustworthy. What else you got? Anything else?
I got nothing, man.
All right, man. Good show. Repossessed next week. Silver Bullet for letter S. If you want to find us on social media, you can find us at Instagram and Twitter at Death by Podcast. We are also on YouTube. We got a fully functional YouTube channel, so you can see our faces talking about stuff. That's YouTube. If you want to support the show directly, you can check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/deathbypodcast, where we have our second bonus mini podcast, BoobTube TV, for the patrons only, and a bunch of behind the scenes stuff and our own little gags and fart jokes over there. This week we did another episode of Star Trek, Darmok Classic.
Yep.
So we did that over there this week. That'll be up as soon as you're listening to this. It'll be up, and you can check us out and support the show for $1. And other than that, I don't think we have anything else. Thank you all for listening. Episode 51 in the books. I am your host, Adam, and that is your other host,
Kevin.
Are you sure? It's Miller time. Kevin, take it away. Good stuff. All right, folks, be safe. We will see you next week. See you guys.